The next Max script one is, this time it's a commercial script, so note you have to pay for this script in order to be able to use it. It's not a free script, but it's worth the money, trust me. So what is it all about? It does a conversion of Autodesk materials into Archidesign materials, V-Ray materials, standard materials, and vice versa. So it can go from Archidesign to V-Ray, it could go from V-Ray to standard, can go from standard to Archidesign or to V-Ray materials, and so on. So to explain a little bit more, we all know these Autodesk material library, which is this one down here. This one is here because there are products out there like AutoCAD, Revit and Inventor which use this material library. So that means that if you have a file which comes from AutoCAD or Revit or Inventor, it has these Autodesk materials attached to it. That's a good thing, kind of, because once you load that file inside Max, Max gets also these kind of materials. So what's the downside? The downside of these materials, you can see them, the concrete and so on. You see a bunch of multi-sub materials which hold, again, all these Autodesk materials. But the downside is, I've loaded here one, is that they are not as flexible as the Archidesign or V-Ray materials. That's one. And they are notoriously slow. And part of the reason is that the sampling level is set usually way too high. So compared to what you need, it's much too much. So I did a test render already of this scene with all these Autodesk materials, and it takes about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So now if I go to my script, I'll do it, run the script, the AMC, Autodesk Material Converter. Here you go. Simple interface. You can go to Archidesign, you can go to V-Ray materials, you can do that for a selection or the whole scene, and once you've done that you could even go to standard materials or back and forth again. Because standard is important for VR products like VR for Max and that kind of applications. So if I use the Archidesign, put it to whole scene and say convert, there you get a message, it's done. And if I now render it, maybe I should just, because this is the original rendering, let me load that one inside the RAM player so we can see the difference between the original and the converted one. So here it is inside the RAM player. Now let's render it, and remember this one was 2 minutes and 50 seconds, and now let's have a look what Archidesign does. And I can tell you already it's going to be much faster. It's going to be well, approximately a minute, and that means 3 minutes down to 1 minute. That's a good result. And what I want to show you is also the quality of this conversion, which is, to me, it's pretty good. It's one of the best I've seen, and I'm using it very often. So I'll just leave this one running, and then I'll load it inside the RAM player to let you see the difference between the two. Remember, a conversion can never be exactly 100% the same. It's impossible. There are variables inside one material which aren't even available inside another one. There's a lot of things going on in the background, and so it's practically impossible to create a one-on-one conversion. Even it's even worse because not everything is supported. So this was it, by the way. You can see it's less than a minute, it's 57 seconds. So now if I go back to my RAM player, which is, I guess, this one. Nope, that's the render image. Then it must be this one. Here you go, the render player. Load the other image inside the second channel, and here you can see the differences. So this is the Archidesign version, this is the Autodesk material version now, and the main difference is inside this glazing. As you can see, it's a bit different, but it still looks pretty good to me. I even like the Archidesign one a bit better, if you don't mind, but that's my personal preferences. So that's basically what it does. Let me close this one. So if I want to go to V-Ray, I'll do the same. I just put it to V-Ray. I say convert to V-Ray material. It takes about the same time. It's very fast script. It runs like hell. Of course, you need to change your render settings to V-Ray. You need to change your light and the camera because you need the exposure control and so on. So I'm not going to do that. But trust me, it's going to be basically the same as this one. It's going to be pretty much the same. So if I just maybe finally let me change it to standard, done. That one is going to be even faster because standard materials are fairly simple materials. But to give you an idea of the quality which is left when you go to standard materials, here you go, here's the rendering. Again, you will see some differences, of course, because you can't do a one-on-one conversion. It's impossible. But it is pretty close again, and you can see some difference in the glazing again, but that's about it. You will probably see a decrease in render speed as well, because the other one was 1 minute. This is going to be 40 seconds or something like that, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, 40 seconds, 41, that's it. But still pretty good quality for a converted material, and it's fast and very useful in this case. So remember, it's a commercial script. You can find it down here. The guys who made it is 3dstudio.nl. It's called Stefan. You can have a look at the information about it if you go to Products, MaxScript, Autodesk Material Converter. Here is an overview of what it can and what it cannot do, and some explanation of what it does and how it does it. Here's the same file, by the way, funny. Some Inventor file and an AutoCAD file, just to give you the idea about what can be done and what cannot be done. So I hope it's useful. Remember, you have to pay for it. It's not free, but I wanted to share it with you anyways. Thanks.